a warm welcome to all of you from E-Residency of Estonia. So I'm Mats, I represent it in Germany, so I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs. And before we let our three wonderful founders speak, I will tell you a little bit about Estonia's journey. You know, why is this country offering this? You know, we don't offer you eternal life, but we can offer you maybe a different way of running your business. So a little bit about Estonia. I've been to Germany around, it's around 8 months now, so I'm kind of learning how things are. I guess we'll get a couple of slides as well, hopefully they'll come up. Essentially, Estonia had a decade when everything could be renewed, let's say. We could build a state from zero. And essentially what happened was that very young people came to power. So first elected prime minister, 32 years old, people in the ministries, in the state service, they were in the 20s, and you know, people could really try out new ideas, let's say, and some things work out. And what we learned from Germany, we copied a little bit of the legal system and the constitution, but there was one thing that we couldn't copy from anyone, that was digitalization. So there was an idea that one day government services could be fully online, and Estonia started to basically try this out, and one by one put its government services online. And essentially, one of the first things was tax, and then one of the last things is now marriage recently. Now we can do, in Estonia, we can do a marriage proposal online to another person, and then the person goes online and clicks and says yes. You had to turn up once somewhere. But where we got with this was that there was some international recognition at some point that, look, this little country has done something new, and the question was, how do we open this? How do we make it relevant to the world? How do we, you know, make it relevant for other people? So E-Residency was invented, and E-Residency broadly it gives you access to basically digital governance of Estonia, and the key use case is that you can run a business completely location independently. Because we know that Estonia is very cold in the winter. People don't want to spend time there all the time. We also flee, us Estonians. And that's why we invented this new legal category of people who are e-residents. So what you can do, any one of you can go online if you're interested and apply for e-residency. It costs like 120 euros. And you get a kit and a card like this. And with that, you can start your company in 15 minutes and 33 seconds, as was said before. We did a world record. And the next day, it's normally working. And then you can be part of our community, essentially. And before we actually let our founders speak, we did a little fun campaign with you, because maybe some of you want to stay in touch with us. We can send you some follow-up materials, but we're doing a little quiz where you can answer it anytime, and you can win a return flight to Estonia. So it's either from Berlin or from Europe. So anyone who wants to get our follow-up materials, we can also send you later on through this, then we get your email. So I would say try this out. It's 2 questions. It doesn't matter if you get them right or wrong. And also for Berliners, there's one tricky question about where is a street named after Estonia's capital. And I would say it's not very far from a techno club that has long queues, I can say that. Maybe Berliners have a little clue from there. But now I would actually like to pass on to our founders, and I will say just a couple of words about them. So first of all, E-Residency has now a community of 103,000 entrepreneurs. And out of them, we have 3 wonderful people who essentially you've grown up in 3 different continents. And I would say the first one is Julian Maier, Julian Mental Six-Pack, as he liked to call himself. And he's dealing with a very important topic of mental health. So Julian, wonderful. I'd like to pass you on. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mats. And yeah, thank you people for listening. My name is Julian. That's my German name, Maier, typical German Maier, you know. So I had to change it in order to make an impact. That's why I call myself Julian Mental Six-Pack, you know. Sometimes I'm chubby, I'm not having a real six-pack, but a mental one. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my story. I was born in Munich, Germany. Now I'm living in Switzerland, and I'm an e-resident running a company through Estonia. And why am I doing this? And what the hell is URBNTIGER? So first of all, I'm sorry. I'm sorry because I have to put you through a little emotional journey with me in order to understand me. So, the weakest moment in my life was in 2017, because she was dying in front of my eyes, and I couldn't save her. and I have never felt so weak and powerless and helpless in my whole life. So I ask you for just one moment to close your eyes, to do a little visualization. So take a deep breath in and visualize your mother in front of your inner eye. Just look at her. And now ask yourself the question, what value, what price does my mother have to me? Is there a price tag on her life? So, do you value the life of your mother in money, in possessions, or in status? Or is there something else? Please open up your eyes. So, of course, I didn't value my mother in a price, but she did. So she was a kick-ass businesswoman, had 2 shops in the heart of Munich city, very competitive, and she made a lot of money and a lot of success. And she was happy. And I was born, and I was the love of her life. But my love wasn't enough, because actually her drive came out of pain. And actually her drive was created out of fear of not being enough, because she was beat severely by her father after the war, when she did not perform well. So her self-worth and her, let's say, love, being loved, was connected to her performance directly. You know where that ends. So eventually businesses collapse, and with this also her self-worth collapsed, causing a severe depression that I witnessed over a decade. I went through a normal corporate job. I was a project manager at Audi and Mercedes-Benz, working basically on the top level management. But I had to witness her going down. And eventually in 2007 I entered her apartment, and I just felt that there was something missing. And I went into the bathroom, and there she was. Bottles of alcohol, which she used as a painkiller, as means for better sleep, and tobacco, and her naked and dead body alone in the bathtub. So she left this world with a lot of pain, and she handed that pain over to me. And I said, I've never felt so weak and hopeless in my whole life, as I really tried to help her, but I couldn't. But at that moment, honestly, a fire inside of me raged, because I was angry. There was pain, but there was a lot of anger. And out of that anger and out of that pain, that something has to be changed. I need to change myself, because I don't want to go down the same route. I don't want to take my life, and I don't want any other one in this society take their lives, because they're too focused on money and performance and status. So out of this pain, URBNTIGER got created in 2017. So I dropped my corporate job as I dropped my corporate clothes, like this. And I trained and I dedicated my life to those things that kept me stable and strong over all those years, having to witness her die in front of my eyes, which was the training of martial arts to unleash my anger and put it into positive power. It was meditation to keep my mind calm, and it was philosophy in order to cope with death. And out of this philosophy, URBNTIGER got created, and by the beginning of 2018, we already had 2 big training groups in Munich and in Switzerland. I founded a company and a non-profit in Germany, both pain in the ass, of course, as you know, like a lot of paperwork, but I did it. And we had multiple training groups by the end of 2019, reaching from Munich, Switzerland, Singapore, and a big growing community, but all live training. And you know what happened in 2020? The COVID hammer hit, boom. And for a small startup like we were, it looks basically like this. You're a growing plant, and then comes the COVID policy. Everything wiped away. Our training groups wiped away. The money I was investing in wiped away. So I was there again, alone with my pain, and I knew I had to change something, because my pain was still there. So the physical training was not enough. I went to coaches, emotional trainings, therapy. And I knew, okay, I have to show the world what I've learned to overcome my pain. I have to show it, but I have to do it better. And honestly, not in Germany. It was really a burden. The whole company foundation and getting rid of the company was a pain. So I was looking around, okay, where should I do it? And there was one thing that I really loved about the E-Residency ship, because the E-Residency ship actually gives me now the opportunity to open up and run a company from everywhere around the world, because my market is not only Germany. You know, there are many people suffering from stress, burnout, depression worldwide. So I needed that flexibility. Plus, they put me on a stage like this, in this early stage of our startup. I'm not a famous guy, you know, we are not making millions of money, so why should you listen to me? I'm a small plant talking to you, and the Estonian program gives me the chance to speak on a stage like this. How fucking cool is that? Honestly. So I invite you, if you're interested, to connect with me on LinkedIn on the topic of mental fitness for companies and individuals. I coach high performers and I coach teams, and of course, connect with me on LinkedIn, and I invite you to experience our training online. We have a WhatsApp group where we form a community. Don't worry, no spam whatsoever. You get free mental six-pack tools once a month. So if you're interested, if you want to stay in touch, connect with me. And the last thing I would invite you to feel, really feel what we are doing, because we are fighting for inner peace and power and confidence. So I invite you to stand up with me for a moment. Stand up with me for a moment and literally feel our energy. Because Urban Tiger means you go through this city, through this urban jungle like a tiger. So you walk with power and you rest also with inner peace and you talk with confidence. So raise your fists now with me for inner freedom, and the tiger always roars by the end, you know? So give me your loudest roar. In 3, 2, 1, roar! Thank you very much.
Thank you, Julian, for this inspiring speech. And it's just from us who work with E-Residency, it's always so nice to see the impactfulness of entrepreneurship and like how entrepreneurship can really shape lives of communities. And I think this is the topic that Yelebe will continue today, Yelebe Kinfu.
Sure.
So I'll give you the floor.
Hi, everybody. My name is Yelebe, and I'm not here to talk to you about my business. I'm not here to talk to you about how much money I made or how my business changed the world. I'm here to talk to you about my journey to entrepreneurship and how I chose to be an E-resident like my now community. I was born in Ethiopia, and I grew up around very successful business people. But that wasn't for me. I had no desire to be a business person. From a very young age, I wanted to be the baddest, best Ethiopian diplomat. So with that idea, I finished my high school. I was in a French high school back in Ethiopia. And then the logical next step for me was to go to France to finish my studies. So that's what I did. I went to France, finished my studies, went back to Ethiopia to work in the humanitarian sector. So working in the humanitarian sector, I quickly realized that us, humanitarians, or the farmers themselves, didn't consider themselves to be entrepreneurs. And that started bothering me because I saw how that impacted their businesses. Of course, there are other things that impacted their business, like climate change, but that was also a problem that was really impacting their business. So at that point, I started thinking, if I ever become an entrepreneur, this would be the problem I would want to work on. So a couple of years later, went back to France, worked in agribusiness, corporate agribusiness, and then a small company. Worked in my last experience, I worked in a fish import-export company. So we were about 6, including the cleaning lady. So you can imagine how ample of responsibility I was given. I was, of course, taking care of the sales, but also the imports, so purchases, supply chain, and whatnot. So that gave me really confidence to say, if I managed to run a successful business here, why can't I do it for myself? So that's when I started really to entertain the idea of creating my own business, my own second income stream. So I started looking for information. At the time I was living in France, as I said, to become an entrepreneur in France. Any of you who know what this is? In show of hands. Okay. Well, for those of you who didn't raise your hands or who don't know it, you're the lucky ones. For those of you who did raise your hand and you have it, well, welcome to the club. There's a solution for us. So I was faced with one big problem. Being a foreign resident in France, this is the foreign residency card, I was not able to have a business and be an employee at the same time. And having worked in a small business, I really understood the risks that came with being a full-time entrepreneur. So I was not ready for that yet. So I started saying, this can't be it. There must be another solution for me. And so that's when I started looking for ways to circumvent this problem. And that's how I found out about E-Residency. I went into E-Residency with one specific problem, the one I just described. But then so many other benefits started unveiling. Of course, I was able to lead my business without ever stepping a foot in Estonia. Of course, that's in my books. I want to go there now. But most importantly, I have the digital nomad life. The requirements to be a business leader were very much achievable for me. And plus, the investment needed to have a business was as low as €1, which for me made a big difference. And also, I managed to create, I would be able to create a European operated business that would deal or transact in euro. And for me, coming from Ethiopia, where there's a huge shortage of foreign currency, that's a major point. So I said, it was a no-brainer for me. I said that I had to create my business as an e-resident, and that's what I did. My company's name is Blue Dunes, as you can see. And I have to say, my experience pre-creation of Blue Dunes, during the creation and post-creation has been absolutely seamless, extremely easy. And I have to say that the Estonian government requires us e-residents to work with service providers who handle all our physical mailing, if any, and they would also take in charge all the accounting services. So basically, what the Estonian government is doing is making all the effort necessary for us to really focus on our businesses and nothing else. Where in other countries, we're faced with layers and layers and layers of problems, in Estonia, basically, it's just made easy for us to just be entrepreneurs. And so, I was able, thanks to this program, to have my personal entrepreneurial footprint in the world. I didn't think I would be an entrepreneur first, but here I am talking to you guys. And Estonia allowed me this. I have yet to see what the other countries are going to offer. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you, Yelebe. And last but not least, we have a gentleman here who has been in e-resident since 2015. So if there was one of the questions, the quiz, it might give you an answer how old the program is already. And this man also, his key business, Stadia Maps, competes with Google Maps. And I can say it looks nicer. So Luke, tell us about things.
Thanks, Mats. Hi, I'm Luke. I am really excited to be here today and get to tell you a little bit about my entrepreneurial journey and how e-residency has been really a fundamental part of that growth experience. And I know I'm between you and lunch, so I'm going to be as quick and as efficient as possible as I can be. So I was born and raised in the US, in South Carolina, and during school I discovered that I was really good at taking tech to solve problems for people, and that this was a very valuable skill and I could create companies and become an entrepreneur in that way. I didn't know what I was doing. I was really good at the tech, but I wasn't really good at the company side. And at the same time, while I was in school, I discovered this place called Europe. I'm not sure how many of you are super familiar with the American mindset, but there's America and then there's the rest of the world, and sometimes we don't really get out there very much. And I discovered Europe. I traveled through Europe most of the summers during school. And having studied German, I had this affinity for German culture, and I wanted to see if maybe this is a place where I could end up long term. We'll get to that in a few minutes. And finished school, took a job working in agriculture tech, and about this time in the middle of Indiana, I discovered this thing called E-Residency from Estonia. And first, this kind of blew my mind because it was a government program that was innovative. And to me, those are just two very different things. You don't put government and innovation together. But thankfully, Estonia has kind of changed that mindset. There is a government in the world that actually innovates, not just for its own citizens and its own benefit, but also for everyone around the world, and that's Estonia. So in 2015, I signed up for the program. I didn't have a use for it. I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but it was cool, so I signed up. It was 50 euros. Why not? Fast forward a few years, and I had something really cool happen. I met my wife, and she's Swiss. And we wanted to live in Switzerland. So I was looking at, I have this successful consulting business. I need to bring my clients with me to Europe. How am I going to do this? So immediately E-Residency came to mind, and I was like, Estonia is cool, let's see if we can make this work. So I created my company in like 15 minutes in a cafe in the US, moved to Switzerland, and since then, for the last 5 years, I have been running all my consulting, everything through Estonia, to US clients, to European clients, and all around the world. And it's created a stable base for me because I need to pay taxes, I need to pay a salary, and by having that Estonian company, it means I can be anywhere in the world and still have the exact same legal entity for all my clients. I don't have to worry about any of that paperwork, that overhead of bureaucracy of changing consulting, because it can be very complicated in Switzerland to be self-employed. So this allows me to have a stable employer in Estonia. Last year, I switched from consulting to be full-time CEO of Stadia Maps. Stadia Maps creates a developer platform to allow developers to create location services and applications. So anytime you need a map, anytime you need search related to places around the world, we have the APIs to make that possible. And we're focused on creating experiences that are affordable for business to implement. It can be quite costly with many competitors, and also one that is focused on digital data privacy. We believe that privacy is key to location data. When you look at where you are, it's very valuable. And if someone misuses all your location data, it can be quite, it's not a very good situation to be in. So we, from the beginning, we've started with a privacy focus. So you might be wondering, how does a US citizen living in Switzerland, running a US company currently, still have my Estonian company, but how does that benefit me? Why have the Estonian company? And first, like I said, it brings stability. I have an employer of record that hasn't changed. I haven't worried about a bunch of paperwork every year to figure out who pays my taxes and who pays my insurance. But at this point, after 8 years of being an e-resident, there's many other benefits of this program that have become even bigger. So first, when you look at e-residence, we are a diverse global network of successful entrepreneurs. And I don't know about you, but anytime you're trying to do something new and something innovative, it's really hard and you need support. And so I found that through that network of e-residents, I have some of my best support as an entrepreneur. And the second thing that it provides is opportunity. Having met all these people, I have done business with companies in Estonia. I've done business with other e-residents. I've done business with e-residents that are now Estonian residents. And these are people I would have never met without the e-residency program. And then the simple opportunity to be here today to tell you about my story is something that's only possible through a government and a nation that has been focused on building entrepreneurs for the last 20 years. They've rebuilt a country. They have really outperformed as far as building successful companies. And they are opening that ecosystem up to me, and I've seen that for the last 8 years, and they also open that ecosystem to all of you to allow you to create successful companies from anywhere in Estonia. Thank you.
Thank you, Luke. We're really happy to have you all as part of our community. Just a couple of final things. First of all, after this discussion, we'll be outside. There's a yellow truck, and you can talk to all of us and hear about some more information if you're interested. And also, any one of you that are nomads, are thinking of becoming nomads, we have a pretty cool event that is also TOA Satellite that is coming up on Friday, where you can join us and also talk to our team members there. But I will just put back the slide where you can join our quiz. Some of you want to do that still, then it's still open. It's going to be open for 3 days. So this is the QR, right? I don't know, do we have time for a question or a couple? Because we did have our 30 minutes, but it started late.
Yeah, we don't have any questions on Slido, but we could take a question from the audience.
Yes,
Someone has a question?
let's do that. Anyone?
Is it the lunchtime feeling?
Anyone knows that? Yeah, you can also, yeah, there is. So Estonia had an idea at some point to also start by, as a government, to offer health insurance for entrepreneurs. And we actually did a little mini project on this, but then we realized that as a government, we shouldn't maybe do things that the private sector does better. So most of the nomad segment of our community, they use different private health insurances. And also, obviously, people do have a freelancer status in addition to their company, or they hire themselves under the Estonian company locally, then they can have the local health insurance where they're registered. But thank you very much. We're really happy to be part of TOA this year. Thank you to our audience.